Alright, so tonight I want to talk about a little game called Red Dead Redemption. And this is going to end in a rant, but I'll just start off trying to be as objective as possible. Pretty great game by Rockstar. And it's pretty similar to a lot of Rockstar games. I think it's one of the best games from 2010, if not the best game. Um, and as far as westerns go, I think it's probably the best western game that there's ever been made. Lots of good things to say about it. Incredible graphics. It's the first game I actually played in HD, but even to this day, let me set this up again. I played it originally last year, and I thought it was a pretty great game, but it had its problems. And then I just replayed it again, and I finished it tonight. Um, but what I was saying was it's the first game I ever played in HD, but even now, replaying it again a second time, I was just amazed by how good the graphics look, the nighttime stars, the way nature looks, the sunsets, even like the animations, the way characters' faces look. I think that it was a little bit topped in LA Noir, but just graphics all around, I think this is one of the prettiest games I've ever seen. Um, and it's a typical kind of Rockstar game where it's an open world. You have multiple missions that you could do at once by traveling to certain locations. And it falls into like a lot of Rockstar traps. But I'll get to that more soon. But basically, the story is you're an outlaw named John Marston, and you're sent to find basically this one other outlaw, Bill Williamson, whose gang you used to run in. And the story takes a lot of time revealing itself. You play through a good chunk of hours before you really like all you know is you're after some guy, but you don't know that the government sent you to get him, why they sent you to get him, why you are doing this for the government, this and that. And this video is gonna have spoilers. So if you haven't played the game, you probably shouldn't watch. But and it basically is slowly revealed that you used to run with this gang. They left you for dead, and then they leave you for dead again at the beginning of the game. And the government, they basically kidnap your wife and child and imprison them and say, we know you tried to leave this life behind, but we need you to go get these guys or this, you know. First, it's just get Bill Williamson. Then they want you to get like the rest of the gang, like the old leader of the gang, this guy Dutch, and there's this guy Escuela, and in typical Rockstar fashion, it's it's always like a meandering journey where you'll get someone that knows something and they're like, "Oh, I'll help you if you do this for me." And then you do that for them, and then that's a mission. And then there's another mission where like, "Oh, I know I said I was going to tell you where the dude is, but you have to do this for me, and you have to do that for me." And you get sidetracked into all this stuff. I mean, the main reason I replayed the game is I didn't pay attention to the story the first time. I thought maybe there was something more to it or whatever. This time I totally paid attention to what was going on. And that's it. It's a very simple story that gets sidetracked by all these like side missions that are main missions in the game that you have to play. And you end up going into Mexico and joining in this war basically between corrupt army and corrupt government and these rebels, and you kind of play both sides because you don't really care because you're just trying to find your man, and that's how it goes. Um, and it has, these are the problem with Rockstar games up to this point is they fall into this trap where it's like that, where you have to do all these like bogus fucking missions just to get to one thing. And this game is pretty singular in its scope. You are after somebody, and that's the whole story of the game. And then but then like there's a long section where you're like in this fucking Mexican war. Um, And the other thing is like a lot of Rockstar games where it's just uh, you go, you ride out somewhere, you meet somebody, then you're off on your mission, and you guys have to ride on your horses, or in GTA you have to ride drive in your cars for fucking 10 minutes while you two yap fucking away. Then you get somewhere and you shoot a bunch of people and win, rinse, wash, rinse, repeat, whatever. And it's just kind of a trap that they've fallen into with their games. I don't know how else you change it, except for LA Noir did change it, and they made a completely kind of different game within an open world, which I love LA Noir. I think it's the best game I've played this year. Um, but it's not for everybody because there's like almost no action in it. There's very brief bursts of action, and then there's like an orgy of action at the end, which I thought was very satisfying. But this is your typical. It's almost like GTA in the old west, but I think the mechanics are better, like the shooting. I think riding the horses feels better than the driving in GTA 4. I think all around it's a more polished game than the GTA series has been, and you know, a very pretty game. Another thing I really love about it, Rockstar always brings really incredible writing. There's so many. The dialogue in this is incredible. It's constantly quotable. Almost everything that's said is just, like you play this John Marston outlaw guy, and people talk down to him like he's a cretin and stuff. But even maybe it's the Western like period or whatever, but even he sounds poetic most of the time, and the things that they say like relate to so many things. I remember you're on one mission in Mexico, and the guy says, for a land of immigrants, you guys sure don't like foreigners. Like, it's so relatable to stuff today. There's so many lines like that. It's just good. I remember what was one line John Marston has. He's talking about like a snake oil salesman. He's like, that guy is no more a scientist than I am a priest, but people are free to spend their hard-earned money however they want. Just that like really good, really sharp writing, really relevant. Relates to modern day times and ways, and it has that poetic flavor of the old west. So there's a lot to like about it. Better mechanics than GTA 4. I love the look of the game. I love the you know I don't know. I'm getting sidetracked here, but there's a lot of things that are just really good about it in typical, Rockstar fashion, and the attention to detail and the atmosphere, which is what I always love about Rockstar games. There's just so many detail packed into every corner of the world. And I think there's even more stuff to do here than in Grand Theft Auto. You could go hunting, you could do different things. It has a fun online, you could do free roam and go take out gang hideouts and this and that. So there's a lot to like about it. It does fall into typical Rockstar trappings, but that's okay. Not every game has to be completely, you know, trailblazing like LA Noir is. Um, but this is a pretty remarkable game. Like I said, I think it's one of the best games of the year. However, despite just falling into the usual Rockstar, like, do this, do this, do this, eventually you'll get to what you're going to do. And, every mission is riding or driving for 10 minutes, and then you finally just shoot a bunch of people. There's a problem with Red Dead Redemption when it comes to pacing. It has a very leisurely, deliberate pacing to it, which is okay for the most part because you could just soak in this world and enjoy it. But it really, I think, starts to hurt the game near the end, and a lot of people don't agree with me. You're free to sound off and tell me what you think, but I think that leisurely pacing, that deliberate pacing, really hurts the game near the end. Because you get to these points where you feel like, oh yeah, I got my man, I did what I was supposed to do, and it's like, well, no, now you gotta go get this other guy. You're like, okay, But instead of just going to get him right away, you get to do stupid fucking missions for like this professor idiot that got kicked out of Yale, and it has to do with like this other guy. But you just it feels like, oh, this is where it should end. No, now we're gonna move the fucking goal line further. There's gonna be another ending that's further down, and I'm gonna be getting the spoilers once again. So, and then you get everybody that the government wants you to get, and you're free and you've been redeemed. They gave you your shot at redemption. You claimed it, and you're allowed to get your family back, and they let your family loose, and you get to go back to your farm. And then it turns into fucking a farming game where you feel like you should have been done with the game, but instead you have to do like I timed it tonight. It was like at least 2 hours, if not close to three, of farming and shit. You're herding cattle, you're breaking horses, you're delivering fucking corn. You're going hunting. You go hunt elk with your son. And I get that they're trying to establish the family at the end and what everything that you've worked for. But this is still a video game, guys. This has to end at some point. And even if it's a movie, if you're watching a movie, the climax happens. This is like a movie with a climax, and then there's an hour after the climax. Seriously, that's what you have in Red Dead Redemption. They pay no attention. Like, they're so. This game is so invested in storytelling, and yet it gets kind of storytelling wrong because you blew your load. You're done, dude. I don't want to fucking herd cattle. I don't want to deliver fucking corn. I just want the game to end because it's fucking over. The game is fucking over, okay? And they do all this, and it's just like, and everyone's like, well, no, it is a little boring, but like it sets up the ending and it makes the ending worth it. And there is one part about the ending that I think is pretty spectacular. Well, there's a few moments about the very ending that I think is spectacular. But you take the ending chunk as a whole, like after you've completed your mission of the game and the story is pretty complete, that it's just completely flawed. I think it drags down the game a lot. It's just a total bore. It's so fucking boring, dude. You should not be playing a game going, this is so fucking boring. And I know that's how some people felt about LA Noire. I didn't feel that way at all. I was completely engrossed in it throughout, and I thought it had an amazing story. And that's how you end a fucking game. But this is just. You farm for 3 fucking hours and talk to your son and tell him, don't be like your ma and your pa. Don't go fucking hunting bears by yourself. Who fucking cares? Oh man, I'm gonna run out of time if I keep ranting like this. But then the army shows up with the fucking federal agents that you were working for throughout, and they fucking kill you. Your family you protect your family. They run off on their horses. You hide in the barn. You fucking look out the barn door. You see there's way too many of them. You're fucked. You step out and they kill you. No explanation. Why did these guys come after you? You did a job for them. You know, what's done is done. You both, you both did your part of the deal. You fucking went back to your family, and you're a farmer. You're not killing people. There's no explanation for why they come back to kill you. It's fucking stupid. I mean, there's one cool moment where, like, he looks out of the barn, and he sees that there's too many guys. And it's like, man, this is pretty good, like, direction and acting for a video game. You're like, wow, you felt bad for him. Like, he knows he's fucked. It's all written on his face. He doesn't say a word. That's pretty awesome. And then after you're dead, they show your grave, and then they show like, 3 years later. I had to like ride around my horse and get the camera up close to figure this out afterwards. But it's like 3 years later, your wife dies, and then the game's over, and then you could play on as the son if you want. But what the fuck? I mean, those are all cool, awesome things. But is there any reason I need to deliver corn and do all this fucking shit to get to that? Maybe have one mission where you go hunting with your son, establish that, have a moment with the wife, and then let's get to the fucking ending, dude. Which makes no sense to begin with. Why the fuck did they come back to kill him? Explain that. It doesn't even make sense if you really think about it. Why they would use this outlaw to find these other outlaws. I mean, I could accept that, but still. Why did they come back to kill John Marston at the end? Please, try to fucking explain it to me. And try to defend the fucking ending. Like, the whole last 2 hours or 3 hours. Fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Great game, but what the fuck is with that ending? Anyways, thanks for watching.